So we have a good idea of what the front end is. That's everything that lives in our browser that we interact with on our screens. And then behind the scenes, we have the back end. So all the stuff that's happening on those servers we talked about earlier. Gets a little bit more complicated with WordPress because it's split into two different parts in the back end. And it's just good to get an idea of this. And to help explain this, I had Nigel Payne, designs a graphic. Nigel Payne is a student of our courses, but is also a designer who mainly works with branding, motion, and illustration. So definitely check out some of his work. Essentially on the back end, what we have is our server. So on this we have PHP, which is running WordPress, and it just sits on that server and that code is running all the time. But then also what we have is our data. So if you think of a spreadsheet like Excel, it's made up of lots of rows and columns. So we might have an Excel sheet about people in super high. We would have a column with name, and it would be Lawrence, Rick, Milan, Adam, Ryan. And then maybe we could have a column that would say role, and then it would be Lawrence, teacher, Rick, CAO / everything man, Milan designer, and so on and so forth. Our database is essentially like an Excel sheet, and that lives separately from our server here. And this uses something called MySQL or MySQL. Now, WordPress does all the work in communicating with the database and getting data from it. But essentially the way things work is we make a request in our website. So if we went to our homepage, it would say, okay, I want the homepage. It would go to the server. WordPress figures out what that homepage is made up of. So kind of coming back to our shopping list, it would go through and say, okay, we have the food items, we need the content for the story, we need these other bits and pieces. It would get those from the database and they'd get sent back and then sent back to the front end again. So we've almost got this top arrow going across. This request comes in, goes to the database, and then it comes all the way back again. So whenever you're using a website like Facebook or Twitter, this is what's happening behind the scenes. It's going off to the server. In my case, it'd be saying, okay, we have Lawrence logged in. Okay, so the code would say we want tweets that are for Lawrence, and it will go to the database just like an Excel sheet. It will find the row where it has Lawrence, find the tweets that are related to my account, and then serve those back to me. It's the exact same idea in WordPress. So once we have this kind of clear distinction between our front end and our back end being made up of two separate pieces, things are going to be very, very easy to digest from here. So what we're going to talk about from the next video is actually getting WordPress set up. We want to get up and running, start playing around with it. And there's a few steps involved there, a few choices we have to make. But that is going to be the idea of what we're going to do next.